Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, your co-host, Shaq. We're going to be recapping UFC Utica. Marlon Moraes just knocked out Jimmy Rivera, and holy shit, even if you picked Moraes, could you have expected a 30-second KO against a guy like Jimmy Rivera ending his 20-fight win streak just like that, Shaq?
Yeah, man, 33-second knockout, and, Jimmy didn't even get a chance to fight. I mean, he got shut down ASAP, and Marlon's the dark horse in the 135-pound division. I know he lost that fight to a Sunsow a year ago that everyone acts like, never happened, but I think
it happened.
It happened, but he's earned his title shot because he's went out there and put two guys out cold, so props to Marlon.
If you can knock out Jimmy Rivera, I'm not going to argue with your credentials to fight for a UFC world title. That's all I got to say. And there was no fluke about it. There was no, if they fight 9 out of 10, there wasn't any of that bullshit. Marlon was the better man, and the placement of that head kick, Shaq, because Jimmy had his hand up. It wasn't like Jimmy had his hands down and, it was a little technical, mistake he could fix. He had his hand up, and he still got caught right in the temple. And Marlon Moraes is a head kick specialist. I mean, how many people have we seen him knock out with head kicks? I'm not just talking about Aljamain Sterling or Jimmy Rivera. What about Josh Hill? What about Tyson Nam? What about all those guys on his way up to the UFC call? And now, as far as I'm concerned, Shaq, he just punched his ticket for a world title shot.
Yeah, man, it's hard to deny him now, especially with his last two fights. I mean, those guys that he beat, they generally don't go down. They generally, lose close decisions. So it was very impressive.
Absolutely. Now, look, we're going to recap the card. But before we recap the card, let's talk about what went down with MaxBet season last week. So, it was supposed to be our 5th MaxBet winner in a row. Really, our 9th because, we are 8-0 on consensus MaxBets on the year. But the 5th, consecutive. And we had Jodie Esquibel at plus 145 underdog odds. Because, these jobbers, even though both you and I have average odds at plus money, these jobbers like to discredit our max bets and say, oh, you only play minus 200s. Well, we max bet a plus 145 underdog, Shaq, against Aguilar, who has zero business in that cage, as you know. And an hour before the fight, word on the street is the New York State Athletic Commission, they listened to the latest episode of Half the Battle. They agreed with us. Aguilar has no business in that cage. They pulled her from the card an hour before the fight due to chapped lips, and we got our money back. It was a push, but, man, it sucks we couldn't have come out with that 7-unit profit. You know what I'm saying, Shaq?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and, hopefully they get to rebook it soon, but it's unfortunate Jodie didn't get to go in there and take care of that easy money. I personally believe Aguilar wanted a way out. I mean, if you really wanted to fight, you would have hit that, you know what I'm saying? So, I do question her motive, so, but we'll see her in a few weeks.
Yeah, we will. And, I know a lot of people are asking, so what do you do in situations like that, with your clients? Because, a lot of them paid for a single event package just for UFC Utica. And you know what we do, Shaq? We could sit here and be scumbags and be like, hey, it's not our fault she pulled out, but that's not the kind of guys we are. We're here trying to help people, and for every single person that got a single event package, we just extended an extra event. So they're getting UFC 225. They paid for UFC Utica. They're going to get UFC 225. And for everyone else, we extended it an extra event too. So if they had a month package, they get an extra event on their month package. If they had a year package, they get an extra event on their year package. Because that's what we're doing over here, Shaq. So just building people's bankroll one fight at a time.
Just like my boy Colby says, like he's trying to do this weekend, make the welterweight division great again. We're trying to make your bankroll great again.
100%. And, when we get these emails from these guys who, they paid for their service 8 times over with our max bets, and it's a lot of pressure when they tell you they got $20K on Jack Hermanson. But, hey, we get the job done, don't we, Shaq?
Yeah, every single time. And, even our small bettors, we're consulting them each step of the way. I mean, we're telling them exactly the amount to bet each fight to build them up. I mean, a couple of my individual clients, they've been very happy, just put it that way.
Yeah, I'm proud of these guys. Obviously we got the whales, the dudes betting the multi-thousands, but then like Shaq said, we got the new guys who are betting small. We're literally guiding them through the process. We're telling them how much to bet, who to bet on, obviously. And it's pretty cool seeing them grow their bankrolls because, if we weren't there, man, they'd be parlaying 10-fight parlays.
With that max bet, You know, you got to get the profit and move on to the next week. You know, you hang in there, you start betting this and that, then guess what? Your good profit just turned into nothing. You know what I'm saying? You got to be disciplined, and we're gonna teach you that discipline. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like, oh well, Jodie Esquibel got canceled, so now I'm gonna go force a bet on Jimmy Rivera. Then he gets knocked out in 30 seconds. It's like, no, once the bet wins, loses, or gets canceled, just move on to the next event. That's what discipline is. That's what selectivity is. That's what money management is, and that's why we have the long-term results that we have, Shaq. Now, so as far as Marlon and Jimmy, I think we pretty much covered it. I want to see Marlon go in there against the winner of TJ Dillashaw versus Cody Garbrandt. I hope there's no trilogy there. Even if Cody wins, they can wait a little bit. Let's see Marlon get the winner of that. And for Jimmy Rivera, you know, I hate to sit here and be like, oh, if I was his manager this, if I was his manager that. But if I was his fucking manager, he would have been fighting Dom Cruz, not Marlon Moraes, not John Lineker. You're beyond that, Jimmy. And you gave a guy a chance to come in there and take your number 4 spot. And that's exactly what he did, Shaq. So, you know, as far as Jimmy's concerned, I want to see him and Dom Cruz run it one time.
Well, yeah, you know, Cruz is injured, so I don't really think that was an option. And
Jimmy's concussed, so he's got time to recover, you know?
And, you know, Lineker was also injured when Jimmy was supposed to fight him. So, you know, I think, you know, a fight, you know, him and Caraway were supposed to fight back in the day. I think, you know, that would be a good fight to get him back on track, or, you know, a Dotson or something like that. You know, just to get a easy win, just to get the confidence back. Because, you know, when you start facing tough opponent like Christoph Jocko, his manager, you know what I'm saying, you lose one fight and then you lose another one. And then you take a fight with Brad Tavares when you're on a 2-fight losing streak, you know, things like that.
I want to have a word with Christoph's manager, you know what I'm saying?
Lewis Smoker, you've lost 3 fights in a row.
Let's go fight Mateus.
Come on,
I want to have a word with his manager, too.
You know, so...
Marlon Chito Vera fights John Lineker. Let's go throw him in Brazil against Douglas D. Silva. Like, what are you doing?
So, you know, as long as he's got a good manager, and I think he does.
I think Tiger Schulman and them are going to take good care of Jimmy Rivera and get him back on track. I mean,
don't have him in there fighting Lineker in a couple months. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll tell you that right now. So that's what's next for both of them as far as we're concerned. But look, Gregor Gillespie put an absolute clinic on Vince Pichel. I thought it was going to be dominant. It was. There was nothing surprising to me about that result. So now it's just about, are we ready to throw him in there with the top 15 guys? And when I ask that question, you got to take into consideration that guys like Rustam Khabilov, guys like Francisco Trinaldo, they're not currently ranked right now, Shaq.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people want to see. It's time to see where Gregor really stands up against a top 15. I think a top 15 opponent is worthy, but the thing is, that top 15 is so jam-packed. All those guys are, you know, fighting or about to fight or 2 big names. So, you know, he's probably going to end up having to fight someone outside the top 15, maybe like Rustam's fighting in Russia, but, you know, someone right outside the top 15. A Tate Moore, possibly, a Taisumov, you know, something like that.
I was thinking, how about Mr. Krause? James Krause versus Gregor Gillespie.
You know, James Krause turned down a fight with Leo Santos, so I don't think he showed. But how about this? How about Gregor Gillespie versus Carlos Diego Ferreira?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's an intriguing battle.
That's where we'll really see where he's at.
Yeah, because, you know, Gregor, you don't just take Carlos Diego to the mat and expect to play around with him in his guard. You know what I'm saying?
Or stand up with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he's no slouch standing up, but on the ground, he's the kind of dude that'll tie your arm behind your back and slap you like you owe him something. So,
exactly.
That's a great fight. As far as Vince Pichel, you know, top 50 guy. You know what I'm saying? Just get back in there and fight someone. You know, if he wants to run it back with Al, but he's not at that point though. You know what I'm saying? Man, what about let's see,
Alex White.
Alex White versus Vince Pichel is good. You can see Jordan Rinaldi versus Vince Pichel. Both those guys just got smashed by Gregor, so that works for me. But for Gregor, I'm thinking perennial top 15. I see people saying he could beat Vic today. You're out of your fucking mind if you really believe that.
A lot of people think he'd beat half of the guys in the top.
You guys got to relax. He beat a couple scrubs, and now we're talking like he's a top 15 guy. Look, don't get me wrong. He wrestled in the finals with Jordan Burroughs. He's a Golden Gloves boxer. He finds a way to win. But when we're talking about the deepest weight class in the UFC, you know, no one gets a free lunch is all I got to say, Shaq. So, you know, even my boy Gregor's got to pay his dues, and he will pay his dues.
Exactly.
So, Walt Harris knocked out Daniel Spitz, and, man, you know, Daniel Spitz, he ain't quite the guy I thought he was going to be. That's all I got to say about that. You know, I said on our breakdown that if he can keep up his movement for 3 straight rounds, there's a chance he can pick apart Walt Harris. Well, he didn't keep his movement up for even 3 seconds, Shaq, and Walt Harris finally picked up the tempo and put him away in the second round.
Yeah, well, I kind of leaned his way going into this fight. I thought it would be a lot closer. I thought there would be moments where things would get hairy, but Walt's improving, and when Walt finds his range and you let him sit in that rhythm, and if he's more athletic than you, then he'll tee off on you all day. So, that's a good win for Walt. I want to see Walt in there with a Willis or a Adam Witcherek or a
Who was Walt supposed to fight the day before he fought Werdum? Like, because. Oh, so he already fought Godbeer. Yeah. Damn.
They already rematched it. So, which, he won that fight. But, so something along those lines. I think Walt's right outside that top 15. So, he's been putting in work.
As far as Spitz, it might be time to pack those bags and work his way back up. But he's only coming off one loss, so they're going to give him another chance. You know that, right?
They could do Spitz versus Bueller.
Yeah, I like that. Arjan Bueller versus Daniel Spitz. The guy that got omoplated versus the guy who thinks he's Dom Cruz, but you can only keep it up for 3 seconds. So I do like that matchup. That's a good one for sure. What were you saying for Walt Harris?
Justin Willis.
Justin Willis versus Walt Harris? Yeah, that's a good fight. Ben Saunders, he made Jake Ellenberger quit, which Jake Ellenberger is known for.
Which he's known for. He quits a lot, man.
He took a knee, which he is known for. This ain't the first time he's taken a knee inside that octagon.
He's taken a knee more than once.
And, I see MMA Junkie coming out and making these articles about, is this the end for Jake Ellenberger? Why you got to do my boy Jake like that? Because we're trying to fade this guy. Like, don't get him out the UFC. The end was there like 5 years ago, Shaq. I mean, why they got to do my boy like that?
I mean, my boy Ben Saunders ate the shot well. I mean, the shot was really nothing. And like we said on the show, Jake's a quitter. And things get tough, Jake tends to find a way to go home. And
that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, like we said, his only win was really a fluke. Like, it was because Matt Brown couldn't take a body shot. So, I think Jake's had enough. I really wish he hangs him up. But if he wants to come back, that's fine.
Do you wish he hangs it up, or do you wish you get dog money against him his next fight?
The thing is, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But, if I could get him in there with someone coming off 2 losses or something like that, and, pretty much anyone on the roster.
What about my boy Strickland?
But he'll be too high of a favorite.
How high of a favorite will my boy Strickland be against Jake?
I'd probably play it straight at -400, to be honest. What I'm saying? Just touch his face.
I said as long as Ben Saunders stays conscious, he wins this fight. Now, he ate Ellenberger's hardest shot, and it was to the forehead. I think if Ellenberger would have made it a little bit lower to the chin, he might have been able to put Ben away, but he didn't. And then he got himself put away, and he took a knee, which he's known for. So now I really hope they don't cut Jay, because we need that opportunity to fade him again. As far as Ben Saunders is concerned, I got an idea. What about last week's MaxBet winner, Carlo Pedersoli versus Ben Saunders?
Oh, that's fine. We can do that.
You like the prospects of that matchup?
Yeah. Pedersoli and Ben Saunders. Let's do it.
And, I like the original matchup of Barberena versus Jake Ellenberger, but the thing is, do you think it'll be like -1200 or something in there? Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. So, Ben Saunders versus Carlo Pedersoli next. Now, Julio Arce defeated Daniel Tamor via rear naked choke in the 3rd round, and I gotta say, man, this kid Julio Arce, I was wrong about him. I mean, I just basically said I need proof to see if he's the real deal. Well, I got all the proof I needed, because if you saw Daniel Tamor's UFC debut, he went out there, he was bombing on Daniel Henry. He didn't do any bombing whatsoever on Julio Arce. He was always struggling to find his range. He landed a couple leg kicks early on, but he got picked apart. And by the 3rd round, it was tap city, Shaq.
Yeah, Arce's no slouch, and he keeps improving fight to fight. And that win, I mean, I thought Tamor would make it closer, a lot closer of a fight, and Arce handled him, and he's handled everyone he's fought so far. So I think he deserves a step up in competition. I heard people talking about, he should get revenge for Burgos against Calvin. So if they want to do that fight.
If they really want to do Calvin Kattar versus Julio Arce, I will happily watch that fight. That'll be a great one. So who did we say Daniel Tamor should fight next? I know we had an opponent. Oh, yeah, Jason Knight versus Daniel Tamor? Yeah, that's a good fight. Don't put either of them in there with Mads Burnell, because we don't want to get stalled out. So I like Daniel Tamor versus Jason Knight and Julio Arce versus Calvin Kattar. Very good matchups. Now, Sam Alvey fought Jean Vellante, or, as we say in Brazil, Jean Valanche. And, Sam, in my opinion, I had Sam winning 2 rounds of that fight at least. Obviously the first one he dropped him. Not sure, was it the second or the third that was in question, but I just saw Vellante eating some hard shots the entire fight.
I thought it was a very simple fight to score, 2 rounds to 1. I mean, Sam clearly won the first with that knockdown, and Vellante landed more kicks in the second, barely, so, we'll give him that round. And Alvey won the third, so, Alvey did his job. Alvey keeps winning fights. You know what Alvey's UFC record is? He wins a lot of fights, so, Only the really good guys beat him.
Like Tom Watson and Elias.
And Talasaitis. Alvey at 205, he's been looking better, and he proves that, these guys moving up a weight class, they generally do win those first couple fights.
Yeah, and man, my boy Sam Alvey has double-digit UFC wins. That's a big deal. Yeah,
guys won double-digit fights with that fighting style. So
it's crazy. Yeah. You can't count him out, even though it's the most frustrating thing to watch ever. But if you can game plan against that guy, you can win. So as soon as he fights a game planner, we'll know what to do. But when he fights a meathead like Vellante, he's definitely going to get the win there. So I mean, who do we want to see Sam Alvey with next? Because it's 205. He called out Corey Anderson, but Corey's going through some personal things. But I mean, Corey's going to have to take a paycheck here soon, right?
How about Dominic Reyes versus Sam Alvey?
Oh, you want to get rid of Alvey that quick?
I mean, it's a vet versus prospect. You know what I'm saying? Alvey's the 10-4 vet.
Didn't we have another guy for Reyes?
He wanted to fight Jordan Johnson.
Oh, no, we don't want that fight.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
We'd rather take the Alvey fight.
Reyes versus Alvey.
Yeah, Reyes versus Alvey. And as far as John Valanche, he can take Cannonier versus Vellante. Yeah, even though Cannonier, he's been talking about 185 for the last 10 years. Between you and me, that ain't happening, just so you know. So, yeah, Vellante versus Cannonier. Now, Sijara Eubanks defeated Lauren Murphy, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, who hasn't defeated Lauren Murphy inside the UFC's octagon? and Sijara, she's a 3-2 fighter or 4-2 now. You know what I'm saying? So
they fixed the records up to make it look better. And
it was so funny. I saw my boy Chaskelly talking about how oh, you're 4-2, and now you want a title shot, like hand clap. And my boy Vic was like, I'm 9-1 in the UFC, and I can't even get a top 10 opponent. So, props to Sijara. How do you think she does against Nico Montano and Valentina?
Nico's definitely more closer on her level, but she's a big, strong girl. I thought she made a lot of improvements. I thought she got a little less stiff. I guess training down there has worked out. She took care of business. I mean, I would like to see her fight maybe that winner of Rose Clark and I in a few weeks, or the winner of I and Rose Clark.
Yeah, that's a good one. And you think they got my girl Sijara on that Eddie Alvarez and Marlon Moraes dietary supplement plan? If you know what I mean.
I'm just saying, just look at the way those guys were walking out and look at their previous fights. That's all I gotta say.
They're very well taken care of over there, and that's all I gotta say about that. So look, David Tamor defeated Nick Lentz 30-27 on 2 cards, 29-28 on the other, and man, my boy David Tamor, not only does he have the dirty tactics down, but I'll tell you what, man, the guy can point fight for days, and now his anti-wrestling, his takedown defense, now that's on point. Look out for a guy like David Tamor, Shaq.
Yeah, Tamor, I mean, I've been very high on this guy for a while, it's just that everyone's been on to him, so, his lines aren't really that good. So, Tamor has been putting in the work. The fight went exactly how I thought it would. Lentz moved forward. Lentz fought well. It's just Tamor's going to stay in that point fighting, system all day. I mean, he's a real, K1 striker, and he's got movement. The only flaw is he's got kickboxing chin, but the dirty tactics were definitely on point, and you can look at the dirty tactics one way or the other because the dirty tactics did stuff the takedowns. He did grab the fence, he did poke him in the eye, and Ponzinibbio has made the eye poke effective, several times.
John Jones
has made the eye poke several times. If you can get away with it, then hey, props to you. But you know what I'm saying, and he got away with it. So
yeah, look, you can look at it like a fan and be like, oh, that's dirty, this and that, or you can look at it like a betting man and be like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of that situation. Next time he fights someone, I know that he'll do whatever it takes to win, even if that means cheating.
Yeah, exactly. So, Tamor did what he had to do to get the victory, and, Lentz will be back. But I'd like to see Tamor in there with the I think he's right outside the top 15 as well. And even though he's only got 9 fights, I think this guy's well mature for his years.
So, I mean, the question now is, do you match him up with a wrestler? Do you put him in there with another striker? I mean, there's guys like Taisumov, there's guys like Gregor Gillespie.
Yeah, I think, maybe Alan Patrick, or, something like that.
So you want to test his wrestling, huh?
Yeah, but
just not in Brazil.
Yeah, just make the fight in America, because if they're going down there to Bellum or Piranha or wherever, Osiris and Guilherme will fix it for my boy.
They'll leave David Timur at the airport for a day and a half. You know what I'm saying, Shaq?
No hot water in his hotel room.
Yeah, you know how they get down over there. So yeah, I like that for Timur. And as far as Lentz, man, the dude's got 12 UFC wins, total badass. Always enjoy watching him fight. They're not going to cut him, obviously, so who do you want to see Lentz in there with? Vince Pichel?
Yeah, something fun, you know what I'm saying? Put him in a fun fight.
Who Who's like another Du Bronx type guy he can
like
have like a scrambly war with? You know, there's got to be someone, right?
James Krause is coming off a win, but so what?
Yeah, James Krause, Nick Lentz. There you go. Done. Bilal Muhammad defeated Chance Recountre. How the fuck do you... Recountre?
Yeah, Recountre.
My boy Recountre. He's my boy, and I don't even know how to say his last name. But look, Bilal Muhammad, I mean, look, he just went out there and he put on that vet lesson. He gave the kid the vet lesson, the vet clinic. You know, that's what we thought Gabriel Benitez was going to do to Humberto Bandenay, and then he ends up knocking him out in under 40 seconds. But Bilal, you know, he just taught the kid a lesson. Chance will be back, and now with Bilal, he wants the Nico Price fight. I'm not going to argue with that, Shaq.
Yeah, you know, him and Nico can definitely get it in. And, you know, Recountre will definitely be back. I thought he fought well as well. But, you know, Bilal's on a completely different level right now. And, you know, there was moments where Chance, you know, he came out real emotional and Bilal could have, you know, got sucked in and made it a 50-50 fight because Chance is like a 6'2" long southpaw, you know what I'm saying? So Bilal went out there, took him down when he needed to be, and, you know, taught the kid a lesson.
Yeah, he did. And I love how Bilal mixes things up. Obviously, his hand fighting game, his jab, his leg kicks, his takedowns. He's got the whole game on point. And he's one of the smaller guys at 170 pounds. He doesn't cut that much weight, but he makes it work. I mean, you saw him in there against a 6'2" beast. You always see him in there with guys much bigger than him. Nico Price is going to be a lot bigger than him. So, man, Nico Price versus Bilal Muhammad, that's an incredible fight.
The type of pressure Nico likes to turn up on his opponents as the fight carries on. So, you know, if Nico senses you getting tired or slowing down, he will take your head off.
And as far as Chance is concerned, what about Chance versus Brad Scott?
Yeah, you know, I think Recountri's ready to fight with a lot of guys already. I just think he fought Bilal Muhammad, and he's got that 13-3 record, and I thought he made a lot of improvements from what I was seeing from him on the local scene.
Definitely looked better when he stepped up under the bright lights than he did in the local scene. Yeah. That's always a good sign. Same with like a guy like Bochniak, because when we watch Bochniak on the regional scene, we're like, man, this guy sucks. Comes in the UFC, and he's having constant fight of the night battles, you know what I mean? So... yeah, I feel the same way, you know. Sometimes they rise, you know, they rise to the occasion. And he rose to the occasion and still got 30-27 on all three cards. But you know what I'm saying, Shaq. It was a short notice fill-in. Now, Desmond Green defeated Gleison Tibau 30-27 on two cards, 29-27 on another one. So, real quick, so 29-27 on one card. So, which round was 10-8?
The third.
Third round?
Yeah, possibly.
So, you know, Desmond Green... it's good to see him get his second UFC win, and you know, for guys like us who have been following Desmond Green's career for a long time, you know, we know what to expect from him. That's a Desmond Green fight right there. You know, it might not be the most exciting, but he's usually effective unless he's fighting a guy that's much bigger and stronger than him, like my boy Tractor Prezerish. But now you got in there with Gleison Tibau, handed Tibau. You know, it's officially his fourth loss in a row, but between you and me, you know, he choked out Abel Trujillo. So it's really his second loss in a row. And now Desmond's got to take on someone else up the ladder. I mean, who's a nice little... how about the loser of Islam Makhachev versus... what's the name of that weasel?
Cajun.
Versus Cajun Johnson. You know, Cajun Johnson versus Desmond Green. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good fight. Or we could do, you know, Des Green versus Davi Ramos, or, you know...
oh, you want to take it there.
You know, Des... but I doubt he's going back down to Brazil to fight.
He ain't going to Brazil ever again, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, you know... so, you know, something, because Des Green's still a big name. It's always a big win on your resume. So, you know, they can still put him in fairly big fights.
Yeah, and as far as Tibau is concerned, I want to see Tibau versus Nick Hine. You know, two vets.
Nick Hine's got business to take care of in Hamburg against Hadzovic.
Oh, they got booked already?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, that's a good fight right there. Hadzovic versus Nick Hine. Well, listen, the loser of that can take on Gleison Tibau. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I want to see Tibau in here against one of these young guys, man.
Get a young guy to win? You know, I mean, if Hadzovic pulls that off, I mean, there's definitely got to be an up-and-coming 55.
Damian Brown versus Tibau.
You want to get my boy Beatdown Brown back on track with that Tibau fight? We had a good fight for Damian Brown. I can't remember what it was, but
Stevie.
Oh yeah, Stevie, the Fraud Ray. Yeah, I like that. But
we should do either Gonzalez versus Tibau, because you know Gonzalez will knock him the fuck out. Horcher.
What about my boy Gritzmacher versus Tibau? Who cares if one's coming off a win, one's coming off a loss?
If they want to fight.
So what? They can fight. Settle your differences, kids. Who's better? Exactly. So Nathaniel Wood defeated Johnny Eduardo. Now, it's too bad that this wasn't minus 250 or better because, you know, when we talk about max bet season, when your worst case scenario still wins the fight, that's when you know it's a max bet. And Nathaniel Woods, worst case scenario, still won the fight. I mean, Johnny Eduardo was teeing off on him with some super hard shots. It looked like he was about to go down, and he didn't go down. And, man, he came back. He won the fight, finished him in the second round with a Bravo choke, so that was incredible. But, man, I noticed something about Johnny that I didn't like, Shaq, and he was teeing off with these hard shots, and one or two more, you put him away. Instead, he backs up to the center of the cage and stop fighting. It's like, Johnny, do you not believe that what you're doing is working? Because I don't know if you saw Nathaniel Wood's eye after the fight, but clearly it was working, Shaq.
That's what we said about those core Nova and Ya guys on the last show. I mean, we said that they could have a fight in their hands, and they still can't get it done. You know what I'm saying? Because just the state they're in. I mean, Johnny had that kid out, one shot away from being out, and he still couldn't do it. So, it's unfortunate to see those Nova guys in the state that they're in. And, Johnny will be back in a year or so. He'll get his next check. And Nathaniel Wood said he wants to fight all of Brad Pickett's victims. So that means Tomas Almeida, Cheeto, Yuri. They better be ready to catch some Nathaniel Wood smokes.
Oh, man. So, listen. If Nathaniel thinks he's ready for Yuri right now, he might have another thing coming. I say we take it slow with Nathaniel Wood. The kid's super hittable. Don't put him in there with Tomas yet. Don't put him in there with Cheeto yet. I mean, who's a guy that, who should we put in there with Nathaniel Wood? I know that. What about Nathaniel Wood versus Albert Morales?
Albert's cut.
Albert ain't cut.
He should be. But how about Nathaniel Wood versus Ducanoir or something, you know what I'm saying? Or Nathaniel Wood.
Is he going to get weaseled?
As long as it's on UK soil, you know what I'm saying? So it's 50-50.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Nathaniel Wood versus Tom Ducanoir in the UK.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So.
Or in America.
Or in America, but in the UK it's fine. They can do it in England, London.
Just don't do it in France. Even though MMA is illegal there.
They can't go to France. So, Nathaniel versus Ducanoir, because let's be honest here, Ducanoir lost his last fight. So, Nathaniel Wood versus Ducanoir. Or how about Nathaniel Wood versus Matthew Lopez, or,
What's my boy Terrion up to?
Terrion, we're not interested in that fight, but, Terrion should be 1-2 in the UFC. But Nathaniel Wood, he's a fun fighter. They should put him in fun fights.
It's too bad he's only 23. I wish he was a little bit older, because by the time he's 27, 28, by the time he's 27, 28, he's going to be getting knocked out every single fight. But for now, he's super exciting, and I love fighters like that. He's the British Leonard Garcia. So props to my boy Nathaniel Wood. And as far as Coach Johnny is concerned, like you say, he'll come back in a year. Who's like the Mitch Gagnon of the division? Who's like the Manny Gambarian of the modern day bantamweight division? You know what I'm saying? Because that's who my boy Coach Johnny should fight next. There's got to be someone there. Yeah. Or if you want to get Brian Kelleher back on track, you knew Brian Kelleher versus Coach Johnny. What do you think about that? You like that? So, leading on, and we were supposed to be able to talk about this Jodie Esquibel MaxBet winner, but you know what happened. She found that way out. They heard the story. They heard the podcast. So, Jose Shorty Torres defeated Jared Brooks by KO slam. And, man, this is one of the best highlight reels in the history of the sport, Shaq. I mean, fucking Jared Brooks, he's got the little man syndrome. He was trying to prove a point. He was trying to be Matt Hughes and pick him up and run to the center of the octagon and slam him. It was the most exaggerated slam I've ever seen in my life. And he knocks himself the fuck out, and it was unbelievable. And Shorty Torres, I said on the breakdown, Shorty Torres gets rocked every single fight, but he might not have to worry about that here. He had to worry about it here against a fucking strawweight and Jared Brooks. He even got dropped against him. But, man, this thing about Shorty Torres, the theme is he always finds a way to win, Shaq.
Yeah, I thought Brooks was looking real good, but like you said, that little man syndrome came out to play, and, he likes to pick guys up and slam them. He slammed Davison about 8 times, and, you just got to pick guys up and slam them. The simpler thing would have been just to dump them right there, but, that's what happens when you're a 5'2" strawweight. You do stupid things sometimes. So, Shorty Torres got his hand raised. He looked off, to be honest, but he looks off a lot. So, it's kind of really hard to see where he stacks up in the division. I think, next fight maybe like a...
What about Brandon Moreno versus Shorty Torres?
How about the prospect tester Ryan Benoit versus Shorty Torres?
Oh, you like Ryan Benoit versus Shorty Torres? That's a good-ass fight. Let's see how that chin holds up against one of the hardest hitters in the division.
If you get dropped against Ryan Benoit...
Yeah, I agree with that. And as far as Jared Brooks, look, there's 2 L's in a row, despite how controversial the Dyko one was. So, I mean, who should we match him up with next, man? I mean,
Yeah, I think that kid's gonna be fine, to be honest. Even though he pulled off one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen, as long as he fucking can keep. I mean, that's a pretty embarrassing situation. I highly doubt he does that again. Maybe a Joseph Morales or Ashcan.
you want to put him that low? What about fucking Jared Brooks?
Eric Shelton.
What about Jared Brooks versus Brandon Moreno?
That works, or a Ben 10. I know Ben 10's coming off.
I know Ben 10 needs a win really badly. I know Ben 10 just got spinning back fist KO'd by Formiga, so he definitely needs to get back on track. So, yeah, man, it turns out it was a pretty decent card. I enjoyed it. What I watched of it, which was most of it. I had to come back and watch the whole thing, obviously. But look, it was fun times. Too bad we didn't get to cash our max bet, but it's all good. Got to keep our money, got to be disciplined, got to move on to this week at UFC 225. And guess what time of the year it is at UFC 225 again?
Max bet season once again. Pretty much every week's max bet season. And it's going to get the job done again. We have to make up for last week. Last week left a bitter taste in our mouths. And now we're going to do what should have happened last week, this week, and so on and so on. So it's time to hop on board. Shoot us that email at bestfightpicks@gmail.com. It's time to stop playing games, guys. It's time to do things our way. Stack money. We're going to build money so that you guys can call out an extra day out of work. You know what I'm saying? So you guys can take the wife and the kids out an extra day a week. You know what I'm saying? So
you can turn that eighth into a quarter. You know what I'm saying?
If you're tired of running out of weed, you're gonna stop running out of weed with us. You know what I'm saying? We change lives over here at Best Fight Picks.
Sick of going to the bar to watch the pay-per-view, want to buy it at home. You know what I mean?
That chick with the fake tits in your gym that you can't that you don't think you can afford to take out. You know what I'm saying? So you'll get her too. So it's time to stop playing games, guys.
BestFightPicks.com. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. I'm up over 100 units. Shaq and I combined, it's just go look at the numbers. BestFightPicks.com. Check me out on Bet MMA Tips. Search Best Fight Picks. You already know the deal. And look closely into the numbers. There's no stat padding, no bullshit $5 props, like an 11-unit bet. Like, we're not sitting here bullshitting. Anyone can sit here and game their record, but no one can game their bankroll. You know what I'm saying, Shaq? And that's all I got to say about that.
We want to make your bankroll great again.
Indeed. So follow me at Best Fight Picks. Follow Shaq at MMA Genius 05. Subscribe to Half the Battle on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Stitcher. Follow our official Instagram at Best Fight Picks Official. MaxBetSeason.com. Make sure you sign up. UFC 225 is going down this Saturday. Shaq and I will be back later this week to break down UFC 225 with a very special guest. It's going to be a great episode. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.